Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Sahil Mahajan. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about S3 replication. So let's dive right into the video. So what is replication? Replication is basically where you can replicate objects from one bucket to another. For example, if you have an object in bucket A and you want that object to also be in bucket B, you can create a replication rule where whenever that object is uploaded to bucket A, it automatically gets replicated to another bucket. A few important points to remember for replication is that versioning must be enabled on both the source and destination buckets. So in the replication, as I told you, bucket A, bucket B, you will basically be having two different buckets. One is called your source bucket, one is called your destination bucket, and both of the buckets should have versioning enabled. Another point to remember is existing objects are not replicated automatically. So by default, replication is not enabled in whenever you create an S3 bucket. So for example, if you upload 10 objects before you create a replication rule, those 10 objects will not be automatically replicated to the new bucket. And finally, if any object is marked for deletion, they will not be replicated by default. You can set up special rules or special stuff to get those deleted objects replicated, and also you can set up special rules and processes to get existing objects replicated. So let's dive right into the S3 console so I can show you guys how does replication work in action. Okay guys, so we're here in our S3 console. So what we're basically going to do is we are going to create two buckets. So I'm going to give my first bucket name as um, YouTube source bucket. This is going to be our source bucket wherein we will put the objects inside this bucket. And when we scroll down, we are going to enable bucket versioning. As I told you guys, both the source and destination bucket should have versioning enabled. And we're going to leave everything as default and we're going to go ahead and click create bucket. There we go. We have a bucket called YouTube source bucket. Let's create another bucket called YouTube destination bucket. Awesome. And then again, we're going to scroll down and we are going to enable bucket versioning and we will create bucket. Now we are getting some, okay, it says that this bucket name already exists. So let's just append some numbers to it and we're going to go ahead and click on create bucket. Awesome. Now we have two buckets created. One is YouTube source bucket and one is YouTube destination bucket. So the replication rule that we will be applying will be applied onto the source bucket. So what I'm going to do is I am going to open the source bucket. We're going to head over to the management tab, and under the management tab, you'll see a section called replication rules. Here is where we are going to create our rules. So let's click on create replication rule. We're going to give some rule name. Let's say test replication rule. Awesome. You want to choose whether this rule is enabled or disabled when created. I'm going to say that this is going to be enabled. And now these are the settings for our source bucket. So basically, this is our source bucket name, YouTube source bucket, our region. Choose a rule scope. Do you want to apply it to using one or more filters or you want to apply to all objects in the bucket? I'm going to apply this to all objects in the bucket. And then we're going to say our destination. Now we can choose a bucket in this account or we can specify an S3 bucket in a different account. Of course, as I have created that bucket here, I'm just going to click on browse S3. It will show me all the buckets that I have available. I'm just going to go ahead and choose YouTube destination bucket 2356, choose path. It says awesome, well and good. Now you require an IAM role basically for replicating objects from one S3 bucket to another S3 bucket. Again, we do not have any existing IAM role for this use case, so I'm just going to simply click on create new role. AWS will manage everything from creating the role to assigning the role and getting that done. We are going to say no, we don't have any encryption requirements right now. We do not want to change the storage class of the replicated um, what we say objects. And then we have a few additional replication objects that wherein you want to have a replication time control. or you want to have a replication metrics, delete marker replication, or replication modification sync. Again, we don't want to touch any of these replication options right now because we are just creating a very, very basic replication rule. So we're going to go ahead and click on save. Hopefully everything is correct, and there you go. Now, when you do click on save, you will get this one-time option which is called a batch operation job. Here it will ask you whether you want to run a one-time operation wherein if there are any existing objects in your bucket, do you want them to be replicated? Again, this will cost you, so be careful when you do apply this one-time batch operation. Of course, the cost all depends on the amount of objects you have in your bucket. But again, I do not have any objects in my bucket, so I will say no, do not replicate existing objects, and we're going to click on submit. And there you go. Our replication rule has been set up. You can see the status is enabled and all of the settings that we had set. Now let's head back to our source bucket. Now what we're going to do is I am going to so we can come to our destination bucket, and we can see right now we don't have any object in our destination bucket and we don't have any object in our source bucket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I will upload a file over here. So I am just going to drag some random file that I have right here. So you can see I dragged a file that's called index.html. This is the file that I used in our S3 static website video. So I'm going to go ahead and click on upload. If everything goes well, this object should have been uploaded successfully, and we're going to click on close. Now we can see that we have one object over here. Now let's head to our destination bucket and let's click refresh. Now we clicked refresh and you can see that we don't have any object populating over here. And now the reason behind that is your objects are not replicated in real time. It takes some time for the objects to be replicated. So let's click refresh again, and there you go. Your object has now been replicated. And there you go. You can see we had uploaded an object that is called index.html, and after applying the replication rule, that object has come over here. Now, again, just to give you guys some better insight, this replication can happen in a few seconds, in a few minutes, and so on. It's not going to happen in real time. That is, if you upload it right now, in the next second, it will not be available in your destination S3 bucket. It could take a couple of seconds or even a couple of minutes. So do wait, and you keep refreshing, and finally you can see that we have an object that has been replicated over here. So that's basically how you set up replication in S3. How can you replicate objects, and how can you also replicate existing objects currently in your S3 bucket. So if you guys did like this video, please make sure to leave a like, do subscribe, do comment if there are any other topics that you guys would like me to cover. I hope you guys have a great day ahead. See ya. Take care. Bye bye.